Welcome to Time Management Mastery, how to get half your time back so you can focus on what really matters. While I dive into live so that I can answer your questions, we can do live Q&A and also take the time to share my experiences of real world clients, real world consultant clients who are paying a lot of money to free up a lot of their time and also the overwhelm in how they are managing everything. So, a common thread I'm noticing is businesses and entrepreneurs and the owners and the teams trying to use their project and task management tool as a holding place, a single source of truth or a solution when it comes to their business playbook. And what is important is to realize as that they are two different types of information. So think about it if you're in a kitchen. And if you go into the kitchen, there's different tools for different things. You got a fork, you got a spoon, you got a knife. And trying to use your business, try to use your task management tool as a tool to be managing your playbook is like trying to use a fork to do a spoon's job of eating soup. It's great that you have a tool, but it's not its utility. Or it's like trying to use a hammer to do a screwdriver's work. And the biggest problem is when people are trying to use their head to manage it all. Like that's number one. Most business owners, teams, owners, entrepreneurs, they're trying to managing half of their scheduling, their to-dos, and the repetitive nature of the business from their head rather than being written out. Well, phase two comes, they're trying to write it out into a place and to keep track of it all. And they're trying to write out the business playbook, the repetitive nature of all the roles in your business, the recurring tasks that each one of those roles is responsible for, and even how to do it. And when people are trying to use their task management tool and their projects in order to start to manage that, the brain just can't wrap itself around it. So, you know how you have a calendar, like most people have a calendar, and you know, you also have a task list. When you look at your task list, you can't really use that as a calendar. Like your brain can't wrap itself around it. You're like, what does my schedule look like today? You don't go to look at your task list, right? And when you're thinking about, well, what are the projects and tasks that I'm responsible for? You don't go look at your calendar. Each tool has its basic function on what you need to do. So the solution is you must have a place, a tool, an easy app. Some are free, it's easy to put together, and to actually have a place where you're keeping your business playbook. Now, here's the beautiful thing about a business playbook. It's a pretty big elephant, just like your projects and tasks. Your projects and task information flow is the biggest load and it's the most dynamic and changing, right? How much stuff is changing inside your projects and tasks every single day, moving, changing, deleting. And then next thing you know, you're going to open up what? 5 to 10 new inboxes, have new conversations in the day. It's so dynamically changing. But your business playbook, you set it up once and it is relatively static. Relatively. I'm not saying the SOPs aren't changing things like that, but you set that up once and normally 80% of it is ready to go all the time. And it's just minor ongoing improvement that's there. So if you're trying to use your Asana, your Trello, your Todoist, your Monday.com to really start to manage that single source of truth for it all, for the entire business, as well as for the individual roles that are happening, you're probably starting to get a lot of stressed out. You're probably starting to get overwhelmed. It's probably starting to be too much information to manage. You're probably trying to wonder even how do you keep that all together? Well, the solution is getting into a single source of truth. And it's easy to do. We have templates. I've seen people say, well, we're going to go start going to build SOPs. We're going to go start building these SOPs for a learning management system. And I'm like, stop right there. Show me your business playbook structure first. Because if you can't show me in under 2 minutes what your playbook's going to look like and the structure into one single source of truth and show me probably on one sheet or one page, you are going to start going to dump all these SOPs into the ether of the universe of the business playbook. Like that has a single source of truth and a structure. You should be able to have one place where you can dump your entire mind, get your entire business out of the brain. Boom, here's all the roles, recurring responsibilities, and here's even the status of every SOP that's be written. When you get into a single source of truth, one tool, one place, one set of best practices and agreements for your business playbook, that is a ticket for freedom. That is a ticket for freeing up so much time and mental energy and how you and everyone is actually running the playbook. And here's the extra benefits that come to that. One, you become extremely adaptable, meaning that everyone needs to leave the business, whether if it's the owner, a manager, any level of an employee. Everyone has to leave. Vacation, sick, quit, fire, death, maternity leave. Adaptable means that you can replace someone with speed like that. Survival of the fittest is adaptability. When you have a clear playbook, you're so adaptable because when that person leaves, they haven't left with the intelligence of what they're doing and how often how to do it. You have retained that. Then, when you also go to onboard that new person, you can do it in like 10% of the time because you can see it all. They can see, you can see what's being done and how often and actually how to do it. Then that same solution also makes you scalable because when you are adaptable to replace one person, you are also scalable where you can bring three in. You can bring in an extra person for this. You can bring in three more people for that with the same playbook and the learning management system behind it. Once I learned this for my companies when I was about, let's say 5 years into like massive growth around North 30, like once I got this, once someone showed me that my information was scattered and they showed me how to get into single sources of truth, and more importantly, what to do and how often to keep everything together in the business, that's when real freedom occurred, not just for me, but for everyone on the team. We probably cut our time in half on how we're managing it, but we eliminated the chaos and the overwhelm, which is like, okay, who's doing what and how often and how we're doing it? Like literally, how can we get into that? Which allowed us then to trust each other because we had clear checklists across every single role. And then that's when my time in office went down 90%. That's when I was able to move to a beach and still run two different companies in two different states that were growing. That's when the employees also started to get a lot more time off requests because we knew that we could handle each other. We knew what to do. I knew if Bob was leaving or Sally was leaving, I can cover them and vice versa. It also became a lot easier in the managers because the managers no longer held on to people from like a place of need. They could hire much more rapidly, get through the training much more rapidly. And when the new employees come on, they have a very rewarding experience right from the get-go. And that way they're actually being retained at a much higher level. So to really bring this all back, one of the biggest mistakes that I'm seeing them making, you must have, if you're going to have a complete time management system, well, you must have a complete time management system. Otherwise, you're always going to be incessantly wondering and worrying if shit's falling through the cracks. A complete time management system, meaning that it's leak proof, meaning that you can get everything out of the head into a simple tool set, into a single sources of truth. And you know how to wrap everything together so that nothing gets lost across every area of the business and all the projects and the tasks and the scheduling and the playbook, and how to really become a master at getting that information through you into something simple where you can drive it forward. And out of 100% of the companies that I've consulted with and implemented with, if you are overwhelmed and you're wasting a lot of time and you got emails coming out of the ears and you got email inboxes that are big and you're trying to incessantly check all these inboxes and your Asana or your Trello is crazy, you're probably managing most in the head or you're out of the head and you don't know how to keep track of it all. They're all missing a business playbook. Every single one of them. Almost all have a calendar. About 50% might have a task management tool, but a lot of people say they have PTSD with their Asana or their Todoist or the Monday.com. Well, I know what it is. It, the tech wouldn't have saved them. But if you're trying to use your task management tool to manage your business playbook, You're going to stress yourself out. You're going to cause a lot of wasted time. You're going to cause a lot of wasted overwhelm. And it can be fixed like that. It can be fixed so fast. In under 2 weeks, you could probably cut half your time, free up a lot of overwhelm in how you're managing the recurring nature of the business and become super adaptable and become super scalable in under 2 weeks. And the return on investment is sane. You tell me, what is your return on investment if you could free up 25 to 50% of your time in under 2 to 4 weeks? What do you think that does, not just with your reinvestment of that time into what really matters? What about your employee costs? What do you think it's like to actually free up a lot of the overwhelm and stop worrying if things are falling through the cracks? It is insane, the return on investment. Like, you think if you're investing into a stock market and if you got 50% returns, that's good. Talk about real returns on investment, like 400%. Like spending $10,000 once to get like at least 40 to $80,000 back every single year, but to have that time back for what really matters. So if you're really craving a lot more time freedom and mental freedom in how you're managing the recurring nature of the business, it's about the business playbook. And the business playbook is super easy to solve and do and set up and run end to end. You just need to ask. Hope that supports. And as always, you can ask us anything in the lives or in the comments afterwards, and we'll do videos to answer the questions. Thank you.